Have you ever felt like there is a version of yourself you have never quite been able to become? Like something inside you is broken, but at the same time, you sense you were made for something much greater? Today, we're going to talk about why you feel that way. I am going to show you how the answer can be found in a place where modern psychology and ancient scripture meet face to face. So please stay with me. This information will change the way you see yourself. I have discovered that there's a conversation many believers avoid. The conversation between faith and psychology. As if they were enemies. As if talking about mental health meant a lack of trust in God. Or as if talking about God meant scientific ignorance. But what if I told you that psychology, without realizing it, has been for decades mapping the damage that sin has done to the human soul? So, I want to show you something that is fascinating, but I want to begin with using our imagination. I want you to imagine a garden, not just any garden, a specific ecosystem, specifically designed for an extraordinary being to flourish. That garden, ancient scripture calls it the Garden of Eden. But the most important thing the biblical text tells us about it, it's not that it's beautiful, but is that humanity was truly alive in that garden. They were connected, they were complete, without inner fragmentation. In other words, spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, socially, physically, everything basically functioning in harmony. No identity crisis, no existential anxiety, no doubt about whether you were enough. That is what the original design of our psychology was about. So think about that. Think about humanity functioning at that level. Now, I want to introduce a man who probably never thought he was talking about the consequences of original sin when he was penning his theories. Erik Erikson, a German psychologist, he developed one of the most widely taught theories of human development. Actually, 8 stages that, according to him, we move through from birth to death. And here is what is fascinating about his theory. Every single stage is actually a battle. Listen to the names of the stages. Number 1, trust versus mistrust. There is autonomy versus shame and doubt. Initiative versus guilt. Industry versus inferiority. Identity versus role confusion. Intimacy versus isolation. generativity versus stagnation, ego integrity versus despair. Now, do you see what I see? What I see is that every one of those stages, those tensions, the mistrust, the shame, the guilt, the confusion, the stagnation, the despair, did not exist in the original design of the Creator, but rather they are documented consequences of disconnection from God. Erikson calls them developmental crises. The Bible calls them consequences of sin. They are, I believe, describing the same phenomenon from two different angles. Think about it. You are a being designed to have absolute trust, but now has to learn how to trust. You're a being designed to have clear identity, but now searches for it in crises. I suggest to you that that's not normal development. That is repair of damage. You see, when humanity disconnected from God, who is the source of all reality according to the biblical text, it didn't just lose a geographical paradise, but it lost the inner architecture for which it was created. Think of it this way. If you disconnect a tree from its roots, it doesn't die all at once. It starts losing leaves, it weakens, it loses its ability to bear fruit. And I believe that that's exactly what Erikson documented without naming it so. He spoke about a humanity disconnected from its source, navigating stage by stage, trying to recover what was lost. You see, a baby who doesn't receive consistent love learns to mistrust. But we were designed for constant, unconditional love. A teenager searching for identity through years-long crises. But we were designed with a given identity, not a constructed identity. An older adult who reaches the end of life with despair, when the original design was to arrive with wisdom and fulfillment. Sin, my friends, didn't just break the relationship with God, it broke the psychological functioning of the human experience. Now, the good news, I believe, is that humanity never resigned itself to the damage. It has always tried to recover that original design, and it has done so through two paths. But these paths by themselves are not enough. You see, one path is the psychological path. Psychology is the study and the search for understanding to understand the damage, to name it, to work through it. It's enormously valuable. I concur, but limited, because you can perfectly understand your attachment or trauma history and still be unable to change its effects. You see, knowledge alone does not heal. Then there is the path of religion, where many has adopted rules and rituals and moral efforts, also very valuable, but equally limited by itself, because you can follow every external rule and still carry the same inner fragmentation. You see, behavior alone does not restore the original image of God in you. What the biblical text proposes is something radically different. Not repairing the design from the outside, but being reborn within it. A reconnection with the original source. Not rehabilitation, but restoration. So, as usual, I want to give you something practical, something you can begin to implement right now in your life. So take a moment. It could be now or maybe later on tonight before you go to bed. I want you to answer 3 questions. 3 questions. Are you ready? Question number 1. Which of Erikson's stages do I recognize most in myself? Think of it. Are you struggling with trust, with identity, with meaning, or anything else? Just name it. Name it, write it down without judgment. The second question I want you to ponder over is, what does that struggle tell me about my original design and how it was impacted? So think about the impact. Don't look at it as something as nostalgia, but rather as a way of understanding yourself. And then number 3, what would be different in me if I were fully connected to my original source? Imagine it. Write it down. That is what I call restorative vision. And if you want to bring this into prayer, after you have answered the question, I want you to start with this request. Lord, show me who am I according to your design, not according to my history. Did you get that? I repeat, Lord, show me who am I according to your design, not according to my history. So here's a takeaway I want to leave with you, is in the form of a question. If Erikson was right, and the 8 battles that he described are universal, what does it mean that Jesus was tempted in all things and yet without sin? What does that mean? Did he trust in the middle of abandonment? Did he hold a clear identity when everything around him questioned it? Did he offer love when he was rejected? In my next video, we're going to explore exactly that. How the life of Jesus is the most complete psychological model of a human being, operating in their restored original design. Make plans for it. Make sure you don't miss it. I am Dr. Warner A. Richards, and if this video made you think differently, I want to ask you to please subscribe if you haven't done so. Leave me a comment in the chat. Share this video with someone else who perhaps may be going through the tensions between faith and their own mental health. And remember always, your mind and your spirit are allies to your destiny. Until the next time, please love hard and stay healthy.